Retirement is supposed to mean you don't have to work anymore, or at least only work because you want to. Your main question is how much income is enough for you to retire. Here with some answers. Federal retiree Abe Grungold of AB Financial Services. And I mean, how much you need depends on a lot of things, doesn't it, Abe?
Tom, it really does. It varies from person to person and whether you're married or single. But it's funny, even when I've been retired now for 2 years, my wife will still ask me, do we have enough money to retire on? And really, the goal for every individual should be at a minimum 80% of your pre-retirement income. So it should be 80% of your gross. That is a good number to start with.
Yeah, so that means the type of life you can have in retirement is, unless you're really, really good at investing and saving, will be in some relation to how you lived while you were working.
Exactly. If you can pay your bills now based on your salary, and you should be able to pay your bills in retirement. Now, it's also important, and it also depends on your lifestyle, because when we retire, we spend more, and a big factor is your health. The other factor that you really have to consider is how much debt are you going to carry with you into retirement? And that's crucial.
Maybe it's more crucial how much debt you're willing to carry into the grave, because then you don't have to worry about it anymore.
Yes, unfortunately, a lot of people like to buy large ticket items when they retire, a retirement home, motorcycle,
Now you're talking.
a boat. That's fine. That's great. It's wonderful. But you have to make sure that is within your budget. And you should be starting your budget for retirement 5 years prior to retiring. You should get in the habit of seeing on a monthly basis how much are you making, how much are you spending, and will you have enough income in retirement? And these numbers, these income numbers, would be coming from your FERS annuity, it'd be coming from Social Security, your thrift saving plan, your personal savings, and if you want to employment in retirement.
Right. Some people choose to do some work in retirement, but it should be something you choose to do, maybe not something you have to do.
People, it's very important in retirement to be active, both mentally and physically. And a lot of federal retirees do a part-time job in retirement just to keep them active mentally and physically. Now, I know a lot of people, a lot of coworkers, clients of mine who had a desk job in the government. They don't want to be sitting at a desk in retirement. They want to do something physically active. And a great job is a school crossing guard. It's a part-time job. You're out there physically walking around. You're doing something good for the community, and you're also earning some part-time income. So these are important things for a lot of retirees to do.
Yeah, for that matter, even if the income is slight, you could probably volunteer in jobs similar to that.
Yes, for those retirees who really do not have to worry about their financial income, volunteering is very important. I do a lot of volunteering in addition to my business, and it really helps me feel good about myself. And it's an excellent way to give back to the community. It's a great way.
Well, you're definitely the type of person I would want to referee my pickleball tournament.
I would be more than fair, Tom.
If
More
I,
than fair, but I don't know. My eyesight is not as good as it once was.
well, my pickleball's not existent at all. I've never touched one. And getting back to that budget idea, doing a detailed budget over a period of time can also maybe show up areas where you could probably cut back a little bit without really harming your lifestyle.
Yes, there are many ways that you can cut back. You have to really think about your spending. Like if you still have cable, maybe you ought to think about doing some streaming services, which are much less than the cable service. If you have a home telephone, maybe it's something you don't need anymore in retirement. You can just rely on your cell phone. You have to take a look at your insurance, auto insurance, life insurance, and see whether it's a good idea to shop around. These are great ways to save an extra few $100s here and there, and they add up quickly. They do.
We're speaking with Abe Grungold. He's retired federal manager himself and owner of AB Financial Services out of Florida. And you said start thinking about this 5 years in advance. I mean, most people probably don't think about it till about 6 months to go, and they wake up and say, holy jumping Jehoshaphat, what am I going to do here?
Yes, really. You should be thinking about it 5 years ahead of time. You should be looking to see where that retirement income stream is going to come from, what your expenses are going to look like in retirement. And you really need to focus on this 5 years ahead of time and have a good plan going into retirement. Now, the thing that's also very important when you are calculating these numbers are what I call the unknown factors when you retire. The unknown factors are healthcare, long-term care, grandchildren, and inflation. So if you want to provide for your grandchildren, where is that money going to come in your budget? If you have to deal with healthcare issues, and we most people do when they retire, you have to have an emergency fund to handle medicines, medical procedures, and you have to always think about inflation. And the other factor, which everyone may or may not have to deal with, is long term care. And that is very expensive. That can be anywhere from 75 to well over $100,000 a year to be in a nursing home. Very expensive situation.
Right. And if you have any assets whatsoever above a couple of $1,000 or something beyond your home, then you will not be eligible for Medicaid, God forbid, which will cover a nursing home. It's basically the provider of last resort.
Yes, the Medicaid, in order to qualify for Medicaid, you really have to be in a low income situation. And when you go to a nursing home, they're going to want a very detailed listing of all your assets, and they want to be sure that you can pay the nursing home bills, whether they're going to come from your personal savings, from your TSP, or whether you're going to be a Medicaid eligible resident. So you really have to think about all these things ahead of time.
Right. And for purposes of Medicaid, you can't say, oh gosh, I'm going to give away everything to the grandkids now and then a month later become on Medicaid because they have a 5 year, I believe it is,
Yeah.
look back, right?
Yes, they definitely have that 5 year look back, and they will carefully look at all those things. State has a lot of resources where they can look to see when you transferred your house to your children and when you transferred your assets to your children. Now, that situation did happen with my own parents. They did it 20 years prior to them going into a nursing home. And both my parents did end up in a nursing home. So that situation was taken care of long before. And it was something that they thought of. It wasn't something that I approached them with. So, you really have to think of these things. It's unfortunately, but you do.
And you also have to plan not only for your health care costs, but also for your minimum required withdrawal from your TSP. Now, they keep moving the goalposts on when that has to occur. I think it's now, if I'm correct, 72 or 72 and a half years old. Congress moved it up.
Yes, the age is going to change over the next few years, depending on how old you are. It can be 73, and a few years later, it can be even a higher age. But yes, you do have to make required minimum distributions. Now, the TSP is going to help